Good day everyone, we are Team B and we're going to talk about kartilya ng Katipunan.
The colonial period was a harsh phenomenon that compelled an opportunity for the Filipinos to act in solidarity towards sovereignty. It was the regime which caused Andres Bonifacio to organize the Katipunan on July 7, 1892. Obliged by the defunct of Rizal's La Liga Filipina and the absence of hope, and obliged by the hope on the reform movement, Bonifacio had to make options in order to achieve the freedom dreamed by the whole nation. With the hope of instilling order and respect among its members, the Katipunan introduced a set of guiding principles and teachings. To its author, Emilio Jacinto, what was important for its member was the cognizance of katwiran and kaliwanagan. The existence of the kartilya proved the correctitude and adherence of the Filipinos to establish principles and their merit for the regard of humanity.
The author and his background. Ever since the author of this kartilya has been ascribed to Emilio Jacinto, the young advisor of Andres Bonifacio, and this is called brain of Katipunan due to his brilliance. He rose from the position of official to the rank of general in the underground movement. Under leadership of the Supremo, he served as intelligence director and assault made in San Juan del Monte on August 30, 1896, in order to seize a Spanish garrison in the area. His friendly with Bonifacio allowed him naturally provide the latter with weapon of ammunitions, money, printed materials, and artistic creation Filipino in history in 1995. In spite of this, his career to Spanish and university degree, Emilio Jacinto was man of intellect, refinement, and literary indulgence. He warned liwanag and dilim when contained some issue about the political and social philosophies include in this collection word issue sa anak ng bayan ang ningning at liwanag kalayaan at tao'y magkapantay ang bayan at ang mga Pilipino pinuno at ang pinuno ang maling pagsamapalataya liwanag at dilim in the hell of my high Laguna, where he set up his secret headquarters. He contracted malaria, which became the cause of his death of April 6, 1899, at the age of 24 Filipino in history.
So this is the photo of Emilio Jacinto courtesy of Ambeth Ocampo.
The kartilya ng Katipunan and its background. The kartilya is a primary source which contains the oaths and orders that the Katipuneros had to follow. According to the British scholar Jim Richardson, 2013, The kartilya was sold at 4 quota per copy, although it was not clear whether the members were responsible for the payment or their respective chapters. Richardson suspects that the kartilya was still used at the time of the revolution against the United States, as evidenced by its version in the Philippine insurgent records, bearing the seal used by General Artemio Ricarte in 1899. Richardson also relates the story that Emilio Jacinto's kartilya was seen as superior by Andres Bonifacio, who had intended of his decalogue to be published and distributed to the new members. The two documents, he posits, however, are different from one another because Jacinto's kartilya expounded aspiration and moral values, while that of Bonifacio enumerated the duties of the Katipuneros. Richardson also claims that the kartilya took influence from the declaration used by the Masonic lodges in Manila, following a declaration which is believed to have been written in Spain. It is resembled certain parts for aspects. The statements of purpose of the kartilya, for instance, can be identified as an imitation from the other, including the ideal on the equality of men and women. The kartilya resonated the teaching of discipline, virtue, and morals to individuals who wished to join the secret society. It established a foundation that would govern the affairs of the Katipunan and its members. Anyone who violated the teachings would be punished in accordance with the gradation of the offense.
This is the copy of the kartilya taken from Jim Richardson.
So, the kartilya ng Katipunan served as the guidebook for new members of the organization, which laid out the group's rules and principles. The first edition of the kartilya was written by Andres Bonifacio. Emilio Jacinto will later pen a revised decalogue. This is a secondary source that made use of the minutes of a Supreme Assembly dated December 1895 as a primary source and was published in the year 2013. Richardson's and Jacinto's documents were published for the Filipino people. Emilius Kartilya primarily wrote the document for the recruits of Katipunan. The author is Jim Richardson, an American photographer for National Geographic magazine and contributing editor for I2 Traveler magazine.
About the author, Emilio Jacinto was an eloquent and brave young man that brought him in position for the brain of Katipunan. He wrote a newspaper entitled Kalyaan and was the author of Kartilya ng Katipunan. This is the guidebook for the new members, the current members of Katipunan. He was one of the highest ranking of officers in the Philippine Revolution and was one of highest ranking officer of Revolution Society, kataas-taasan, galangan ng Katipunan ng mga anak ng bayan, or simple and more popularly called Katipunan, being a member of its Supreme Council. He was elected Secretary of the State for the ranking bayan, Katagalogan, and revolutionary government established during the outbreak of hostilities. He is popularly known in the Philippine history textbook as a basic of the Katipunan, while some content his should be rightfully recognized and brain of revolution, a title given to Apolinario Mabini. Jacinto was present in the crime Pugad Lawin with Andres Bonifacio, the Supremo of the Katipunan, and other of its members, which signified the start of the revolution against of the Spain colonial government in the island. His real name is Emilio Jacinto Digos and married to Catalina de Jesus, who was pregnant at the time of his death. The first edition of the kartilya was written by Andres Bonifacio, but a later on received as Decalogio by Emilio Jacinto.
Content of the topic: KKK, Katastaasan, Kagalang-galang na Katipunan. The two principal aims of the KKK as gathered from the writings of Bonifacio. One is unity of the Philippines. Two is separation from Spain by means of revolution. It was written to let the training members of KKK to have a full knowledge and understanding of the principles they have to live by. The Kartilya ng Katipunan by James, on the other hand, writing for the Filipino people. It is composed of 14 rules that instruct the way a Katipunero should behave. This is also treated as the Katipunan Code of Conduct. The first highlights of the significance of living a purpose. Life is a gift given to everyone that must be treasured by making it meaningful through setting up goals and achieving it no matter how hard it is. The second rule is about doing what is right. Everyone must bear in mind that doing good must be accompanied with humbleness. The third shows the meaning, what the true meaning of kindness. It only means that having an open hand to give help without expecting in return is one of the best examples to show and act kindness. The fourth rule is highlights equality among people. Every Katipuneros are treated equally no matter what race or educational background he has. The fifth shows what honor should mean for a Katipunan. A true Katipunero values honor more than his personal interests. The sixth is about doing the walk-to-walk concept or putting into action the words that has been promised. The seventh rule, give importance to how we manage our time and give our best like tomorrow ends because time is as precious as a gold. The eighth lesson simply tells everyone to fight for what is right and fight with the person who is at the right side. A Katipunero must protect the weak and fight for those who oppress the weak. The ninth is about the significance of trust, that everyone must know how to keep confidential things in order to keep the trust that other people give. A Katipunero is careful with what he says and keep the things that must be kept secrets. The 10th principle is all about being able to lead the family. A Katipunero must lead his family to the right path. The 11th highlights is everything a man must look at the woman's identity. A Katipunero must give importance to woman. He must not to see her as an object nor pastime. The 12 principles gives importance to every action that one has to make. A Katipunero must not to do things that he does not want to be done by him. The 13th rule is about one's knowledge on how to have a right character in dealing with life. Instead, it is in a character and his love for the native land. The last show the idea of the author's desire is emphasize the hope the hope he has for everyone and believe that every sacrifice that a Katipunero make will always be worth it. Kartilya ng Katipunan is a set of the principles that shows the path on how every one of us must live of lives by living to the fullest true of good values. They build on the ideological and political foundations constructed by men and women who sacrificed themselves because of their love for the country and for the people, just like Rizal who pushed Filipinos to think critically with full understanding. Going back to the past, the journey to freedom is long and hard. The price of bravery and principles is high. Kartilya ng Katipunan become an oath that every Katipuneros must follow to show their determination is being a part of the people who wanted a change. There is one thing that everyone can agree on. Kartilya ng Katipunan was meant to guide us living our everyday life in the fullest. More importantly, it highlights the importance of having the right attitude towards other people.
Importance of Kartilya ng Katipunan. Primer of the Katipunero by Emilio Jacinto is a great contribution on our history and to all Filipino as well, leaving a good moral character and shaping ourselves to mold a better world. Jacinto defined the true deity or kabanalan as charity, love for one another, deeds and speech guided by judicious reason. This book been able to put a good mark on our history as the Katipuneros back then were guided by this Kartilya. The Katipunan upon inception and in action was not the mass movement it is commonly noted as, but one of the middle class and even the upper middle class. In the context of 19th century Philippines, these men were highly educated and socially mobile. They were critically thinking, well-read, and in some cases, well-traveled individuals who conceptualized a new Philippines, one founded on egalitarianism even while recognizing that social differences will exist. Unity does not mean homogeneity in thought and belief, that is imperialism and elitism, fascism and tribalism, masquerading as egalitarianism. Understanding the importance of historical and contemporary context, maintaining that level of intellectual rigor, also allows for disparate ideas to be held by individuals and organizations. Maybe that is the enduring lessons and challenge of the Revolution and Republic of Rizal, Aguinaldo, and Bonifacio. The intriguing idea that we have to evolve past resorting and consistently to armed revolt and uprising, of militancy, intransigency, and violence, and utilize them in favor of a greater purpose dedicated to an enlightenment concept of the Philippines. And that would be all. Thank you.